morning, guys. It is Wednesday, which is day 6 of my food week. Now, I do apologise. It does feel like it's been absolutely ages since I've done a vlog, because obviously the last one that I did was Friday. I have had a pretty hectic week. It's been very up and down, as has my health and my mental state, but basically I'm gonna give you a quick kind of overcap of what's been going on in my life food wise and otherwise over the last few days, and bring you up to speed before weigh-in tomorrow. So, as I showed you in the last vlog, I've been using my new journal, and I think I showed you like the first couple of pages that I'd been doing. So basically on Thursday of last week, as you know, I was totally gutted at the fact that I'd had such a major gain on the scales. Yeah, I struggled with that mentally, but I kind of got over that and decided, right, well, I could do this, you know, I've just got to watch what I'm eating. I need to go back to recording all my food. I need to be watching my sins. So on Thursday, I had a really good day food-wise, and I actually only ended up using 6 of my 20 sins. So what I did, I know some people may not agree with it, but basically on the Friday, as you can see up here, I carried over the sins that I had remaining, the 14 sins that I had left over, and used that to kind of give me a little bit more leeway as the week went on. So on Friday, I had another good day. You can actually see also in my journal, I've been writing kind of like encouraging words of motivation. So far, so good. I've also, at the top, I've put, you know, that I'm feeling positive. And also, I like to do my little doodles, because logos and things, they're always something that have been of interest to me, but that's kind of an aside, really. I had another good day, and up until I went to bed, I'd used just under 18 sins for the day, which meant that I hadn't actually used any of my sins that I'd carried over. I was still within my 20 sins for the day. However, on Friday night, I did wake up during the night several times, and I did end up eating and using more sins throughout the night. So although it really wasn't a very good night, my new total for that day was like 29 sins, because as you can see down here, and I've noted down that night I woke up during the night. However, it still wasn't an issue, because I'd had those sins that I could carry over. The sins that I ate during the night came out of that. And come Saturday morning, I still actually had just over 4 sins to carry over for Saturday. But as you'll also see, Saturday morning, while it had been quite a productive morning, I was feeling very tired, very fed up. It was quite a stressful morning in the household, so it wasn't a particularly great start to the day, but I decided that I, you know, still needed to just get on with it and try and focus on staying on plan. On Friday, I'd made lasagna for dinner, but I made it in two dishes. I'd made an individual one that I knew I was going to have for my dinner on Friday, and then on the Saturday there was like a big oven dish of it left, and so myself and the kids' dad had that between us the following day. So that was dinner sorted for Saturday, and I also had my jelly and stuff like that in the evening, and my Healthy Extra B in Alpine Light bars and things like that. All in all, it wasn't a bad day. I did wake up again Saturday night, but all in all, my sins for Saturday, as you can see, were just over 20, which was still within the sins that I had up to that point, so we were still going okay. On Sunday, I woke up really hungry. I don't know why, it's quite unusual, but I made sure that I actually had breakfast, which is quite a novelty for me, but I had a banana and I had a yogurt, you know, just free stuff that I could have. And I decided that I was going to do a roast dinner for the day. I'd bought a really nice big joint of beef. So I used my journal to plan what I needed to do, and to note down which bits of the roast dinner were free and which bits were speed and which bits had sins in, and obviously the rest of my sins and things are on there for the day. I was quite happy at the fact that I could actually have Yorkshire puddings with my dinner, although they did have to be sins, they weren't actually that bad. I've had the Aunt Bessie's mini ones. They're like just little tiny ones, but they worked out to be I had like 6 of these little mini ones on my plate, and it cost me 5 sins. So they're like less than a sin each, which I thought was really good. So I thoroughly enjoyed those. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole meal. It was really, really good. And I made sure that I had a big pile of carrots and cabbage and broccoli and stuff. And I didn't do gravy. So, you know, the only sins on my plate were the Yorkshire puddings. And then indulged in the evening. I had more of my jelly with the fruit in. I had another Muller Light, and I had a bit of chocolate and some sponge fingers and things. So my sins for the day ended up at 23 and a bit. The sponge fingers, I think I'd had a couple during the day, but they were actually what I ended up picking at when I woke up during the night, because they work out at just like a sin each. So yeah, 23 sins. Okay, I was just over, but I still had 4.5 sins carried over from previous days. So I was still within my limit, just. And then we got to Monday. I'm not quite sure what went wrong on Monday, really, other than the fact that it was just Monday, and Mondays are always crap. As you can see from the very top of my journal, this is a self-portrait. This is me, zombie mum, is exactly how I felt. I woke up feeling absolutely exhausted, and I actually overslept. So my whole day was thrown out because I wasn't up on time, and I felt incredibly bad and down health-wise and mentally. But I did, as a result of that, I kind of wrote a mini plan which involved speaking to my GP and discussing various concerns that I had, including blood tests to get my thyroid checked and to get my iron levels checked, because I already know that I have an underactive thyroid, and I have been prone to anemia. And considering my sleep and everything seems to be getting so much worse, and my ability to function productively and effectively during the day seems to be it's getting harder and harder. And so, yeah, I made an appointment and I went to see my GP. And it's quite surprising how much of what I'm going through could very well be related to my thyroid. Until I started doing a bit more research, I didn't realise exactly how many bodily functions and reactions are actually controlled by the thyroid gland. It's quite an extensive list, as are the symptoms that can present if your thyroid isn't functioning properly and isn't properly managed with medication. I was looking at a list that had about 21 possible symptoms of an underactive thyroid, and out of those 21, 13 of those I can immediately check off as causing me trouble at the moment. So I explained this to the doctor. I've got an appointment lined up, though unfortunately it isn't until the end of October. I actually got back on the phone to the doctor's surgery this morning and said, look, I can't wait another month to get my bloods done, because as a result of speaking to my GP, it looks like the level of medication that I'm on simply isn't enough or isn't working effectively enough, and may need to be either changed or increased. So to leave it another month before I get the bloods done, and then obviously another few days for the results to come back, and then have to get an appointment with the doctor, it's just, it's not good. So I did phone them back, and they've advised me to keep calling in each day to see if there's a possible cancellation so that the appointment can be brought forward. However, yeah, I had, on Monday, I had like 1 sin left to carry over. I was still, food-wise, I was doing okay. I decided that I was going to have some of the leftover roast beef from Sunday. So I heated some of that up, and I made a nice potato salad with new potatoes and some light mayonnaise. So obviously there was some sins. It was like 3 sins, but it was quite a big bowl of potato salad. So I didn't really mind using those sins. And yeah, it was all kind of going okay till later on in the day. It got to about 4 o'clock, and kind of out of nowhere, I just had this like really, really strong kind of craving and urge for chocolate. Now, I know that just sounds crazy. I mean, nobody like needs chocolate to function. But I tried, I fought with myself mentally. I was like, no, just don't, just hold off, just write it out, you know, think of something else you can have instead. And for quite a while, I was like arguing in my head as to whether I should have some chocolate or not. Unfortunately, the voice in my head that wanted the chocolate won, and I went over to the shop and I bought a big Aero and I bought a bag of crisps, and I sat and ate them. And I think, as I've discussed in previous videos, when you do things like that, you know, even when you're eating them, that you're not meant to, and you know that you're going to feel crappy afterwards, and you know you're probably going to regret it, even if you're enjoying eating them at the time. But at that moment, I didn't care. I honestly felt like I needed that chocolate. Nothing else was going to do it. I'm not making excuses. I messed up. You know, I'm just trying to explain like how I was feeling at the time. Nothing else in the world at that particular moment in time was going to get rid of that craving. So, yeah, it put me kind of off track for the rest of the day because I felt really bad and there was nothing that I fancied for dinner. I didn't want to eat anything else because I knew that I'd like blown all my sins. I didn't want to like go and make anything else. I'm not quite sure what was going through my head, but I basically ended up not having dinner on Monday, which is quite unusual. I do normally have dinner, but then later on in the day, as it got later, again, I had another kind of mental battle because I was quite tempted just to order a pizza, thinking, well, you know, I've already blown my sins for the day. It's not going to make any difference. I may as well just order a pizza now and just write today off completely and get back on track tomorrow, which I still would have done. I still would have got back on track the next day. But, you know, I messaged a couple of my friends in my support network and they were all like, look, no, don't do it. Be strong. Find something else. You know, talked through some options. I mean, it was really good to have them. I knew that they were going to say that. Obviously, that's probably why I reached out to them, because I knew that they weren't just going to agree and say, yeah, sod it, go for it, order a pizza. And for like over an hour, literally, yeah, over an hour, I was kind of like fiddling with my phone, thinking, do I, don't I? I could just order this pizza and I would like really, really enjoy it. But I didn't. I somehow, God knows how, I somehow found the willpower to resist the temptation of going on to Just Eat and ordering a pizza. Instead, I had my my Alpen Light bars because I hadn't had my healthy extra beef for the day. I had some strawberries. I also had some of the Candy Floss flavoured grapes, which I hadn't tried before, but I just got them from Asda. So I sat and I munched like a bowl of strawberries and grapes. And that was fine, but they weren't very filling. So after that, I moved on to baby cucumbers. And I must have eaten, I don't know, at least like half a dozen of these baby cucumbers. And I guess, I mean, they were a little bit more filling on top of everything else. But I think after that, yeah, I had a couple of Snacker Jacks, you know, the jumbo chocolate chip ones. I thought, well, I know I've gone over my sins, but I'm still hungry, and having a couple of Snacker Jacks is probably going to be better than giving in and ordering a pizza by far. So I allowed myself a couple of Snacker Jacks, which was fine. However, Monday night, I didn't have a great night's sleep, and probably because I hadn't had dinner, again, I was waking up repeatedly through the night, and my stomach wouldn't let up. It was like, no, I need more food, I want something to eat. And to cut a long story short, I basically came downstairs and demolished the rest of the packet of the chocolate chip jumbo Snacker Jacks, which was like a million sins. Well, in fact, the whole packet, if you eat an entire packet of the jumbo chocolate chip Snacker Jacks, it's like 36 sins, which is like pretty much two days worth of my sin allowance, which I'd already blown by eating a chocolate bar that was like 28 sins. Yeah, I really kind of screwed up on Monday. I had, just try to look back and see if I've got the notes of how many sins I actually used. Yeah, in total, on Monday, you ready? I consumed 95.5 sins. 95.5 sins. Really not good. Really not happy. And I think that day obviously has put a shadow over the rest of my week, because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd been like spot on. I mean, I was still within my sins for the week, for those days. I'd been eating some speed foods. I thought I'd been doing okay. I was pretty damn confident that when I got on the scales, I was going to have a loss. And by God, after the £6 gain last week, I really needed it. So, yeah, Monday was a very mixed emotional day. I was tired, I was cranky, I was stressed, I was craving stuff, then I was beating myself up about it, then I nearly blew things again by ordering a pizza, but then I managed to resist it, and then I was like, right, I'm going to do okay because I didn't have the pizza, but then I went and had like all those Snacker Jacks, and so as you can tell, I was just like up and down and all over the place on Monday, really kind of struggling to make sense of what was going on in my body and what my head was doing, to be honest. on Monday, that was my doodles for the day, off the rails, because that is pretty much how I felt. But a note to myself here at the end of the day, draw a line and move on. Because I guess if things had been really bad, if I'd have like really lost control, like really badly, then I could have let that spill over into the rest of the week. And just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And, you know, I've messed up and that's it. But I didn't. So going on to Tuesday, or yesterday, for lunch I had a baked potato with tin spaghetti and like 20 grams of reduced fat cheddar, so like half of my healthy A allowance, and the other half of my healthy A was used on milk for my tea. And then later on in the afternoon I was snacking on candy floss grapes. And then later on for dinner, I mean, I wasn't feeling particularly great, but I needed something that was going to be nice and quick. And my muscle food order had come yesterday, so I had nice, fresh beef hash steaks in my fridge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have 2 of those. I'm not going to blow my healthy extra B on a protein roll. I'm going to have the meat, and I'm going to put some light cheese slices on it because I had some of those in the fridge. So basically my dinner consisted of 2 hash steaks and 2 light cheese slices. I wouldn't recommend that as a dinner per se, because I should have like probably piled some carrots on there or something too, but it was getting late and I was hungry. That's what I had. But you know something, having that amount of protein for my dinner, it carried through into the evening, and I didn't feel as much of a need to be picking at stuff. So basically my evening went, right, I had my hash steaks with the cheese. I had like 1 sponge finger and a couple of my little tubs of jelly. Now the sponge finger was like 1 sin. The jellies with the fruit in, they've got a speed fruit, and I made a strawberry jelly with fresh strawberry in it, and it really works. It's really good. like 1.5 sins for 2 of these tubs that I've made. And then obviously my sins for my cheese that I'd had. So I hadn't really used that many sins. And obviously later on in the evening I had my Alpine Light bars for my supper. And yeah, so all in all, even though I woke up during the night and was a bit peckish, and I did have a few more of the sponge fingers, my sins for yesterday actually turned out at 11.5. You see my note, whoop whoop, stayed within my sins. Yeah, and my other note to myself, which, well, I've just kind of covered that really, to pile on the protein at dinner, because that actually seemed to make quite a big difference. I know quite often I'll have things like potatoes and that at dinner, or pasta, and that's obviously carbs. And some carbs are sort of fast acting, some are like slow release, but they tend to make some of them can tend to make your blood sugar spike quite a lot. And I think one of the possible reasons for my consumption of quite a lot of carbs and sugars, now I'm not trying to make excuses, but one of the symptoms of an underactive thyroid is actually carb and sweet cravings, which I hadn't realised. I mean, I just put it down to me having a sweet tooth and just wanting to pig out on crap. But in actual fact, I mean, to be fair, I'm not that bad. I tend to, like, once a week or something, I'll, like, really want chocolate or something. And, you know, some days a chomp or a fudge just isn't going to do it. So, yeah, I had my blowout day on Monday. But as you can see, yesterday I got straight back on it again. I stayed within my sins for the day. And so we're on Wednesday today, which means I only have to get it through today. And then tomorrow morning, after the school run, it's weighing. So I'm going to decide. I haven't decided yet, but obviously I need to decide what I'm going to have for my lunch and my dinner today. But now that I have more red meat in because my delivery came, I have more options as to what I can have. And I fully intend to stay within my sins again for today. Now, on the note of sins, I think the mistake that I was making before was that if I had a day like Monday where I'd totally blown my sins for the day, what I would try and do after that is like not have sins for the rest of the week to try and compensate for my overeating, which then made the rest of the week quite stressful and quite difficult. It was very challenging to not be able to use sins. Oh, good cup of tea. Yeah, but after speaking to a couple of other fellow Slimming World members at group, they said to me, look, if you have a bad day and you blow your sins, start again the next day as normal. So if you have 20 sins or 15 sins or whatever it is that you have as your daily allowance, the next day when you get back on plan, you still have those 15 or 20 sins for your allowance. Now, while if say you'd only gone over your daily sins by, I don't know, like 10 sins or something like that, you know, a small enough amount of sins that you could actually quite reasonably recoup over the next few days, then fair enough. You know, do it. I've done that in the past. That's just kind of balancing your sins out over the week. However, if you've obviously had a major blowout like me, where I've used like nearly 100 sins in one day, I think the trick is not to then punish myself by not having any sins for the rest of the week, because although in my head it's like, well, you've already had all those sins, you can't have any more. It's almost like you're kind of setting yourself up to fail, because it's almost impossible for most people to go through several days without having any sins, you know, not having any spread or any snacks, any chocolate, any crisps, any gravy, any sauces, any, you know, whatever it is, whether it's something to go in your cooking or whether it's something you've put on your food or whether it's just treats and whatever. It's very difficult to go 2 or 3 days without having any of them and actually like enjoying what you're doing. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible to actually do it. You could, but you'd be miserable as hell, to be fair, I think. So yeah, so I'm kind of looking at it in a new way now that, you know, yes, I've messed up, but I got straight back on plan, and I'm not going to continue to torture myself for the rest of the week because of one blip. So yesterday, like I said, I did still have some sins, and today, inevitably, I will have some sins. But because over the week I've had 6 good days and like half a bad day, because it started off okay, you know, one bad day, I'm still really hoping that I'm gonna get a loss. I've probably blown my chances of getting a big loss because of my blowout on Monday. However, because of the balance in the week and the sort of outweighing the bad days with the good, I'm hoping I'll still at least get, I don't know how much I'll get realistically. I mean, obviously I would like to get as much as possible. I mean, I would be over the moon if I got in the scales and I'd lost that £6 that I gained last week. It's probably unlikely. It seems to be an awful lot easier to gain £6 in a week than it does to lose £6 in a week. So I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy if I got on the scales and, well, would I be happy? I was going to say I'd be happy if I lost like £3 or something. I mean, I would be, because it's a loss, and a loss is good no matter whether it's £1, £2, £3, whatever it is. I would like to see more than that. I would like to see at least £4 come off. And I think I've done well enough to kind of justify that want, really. But we shall see. Others might think differently. I don't know, there might be people out there that think, well, no, because you ate chocolate and Snacker Jacks and God knows what, so you don't deserve to get a loss this week. Fair enough. You know, I've had those thoughts. I get those thoughts quite often. But I'm hoping that because I've been really, really good the rest of the week, that I will still get a decent loss. So yeah, I wanted to obviously come on and kind of bring you up to speed with what I've been doing over the last week. I think my issues with my thyroid are currently playing quite a major part in everything that's going on, in my cravings, in my disturbed sleep, in my depression, you know, in my tiredness. Even in my appetite. Your thyroid gland actually controls your appetite. Did you know that? It's surprising that, you know, the different systems that are all connected, that are connected to the thyroid gland as well. But yeah, there was a ton of stuff that I was going to chat to you about and talk through and stuff, but because I've ended up leaving it this late in the week to do my first vlog of the week, I'm not gonna try and cram all that into the one video. But I will be doing another video on like low sin snacks, or like, I don't know, like kind of SOS sins, you know, things when you're like really craving stuff, when you maybe don't have too many sins left. Things that you can kind of grab that aren't highly sinned, that are still quite sweet. So if, like me, you have a really bad sweet tooth, you know, you can use them to get by. Things that I think have kind of, other than Monday, have kind of helped me along this week, and will probably continue to help me along. Things that I can grab of an evening that are only sort of 1 sin, 2 sins, that if I've been good during the day, it means that I can actually have like a little bundle, like a few different things of an evening. What I try to do is, if I can, try not to totally max my sins by the time I go to bed, so that if I do wake up during the night, then I've still maybe got, say, like 5 or 6 sins that I can use to have like a couple of Alpen Light bars, or to grab a handful of sponge fingers. Or, as I was saying, yeah, I'm going to do another video on sins and things, and I will try and get that done pretty soon for you. and I will try and get a couple more recipe videos up at some point. But I shall wrap it up for today, because that's me been rabbiting on for about half an hour now. So I hope you're all having a good week, and you know, I hope that you've had the losses and things that you want on the scales. I will be back with you tomorrow to let you know how I got on the scales, and we'll see how accurate my guess of 3 to 4 pounds would be. But take care for now, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up below. If you would like to see more recipe ideas, how-to videos, live cook-alongs, cleaning and organising tips and much more, then please click that subscribe button and you will be notified each time I upload a fabby new video. Until next time, my friends.